Time to rise and grind with us right here on the SportsGrid Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. It is the early line, and we were ready to go, chock full of information today over the next 3 hours. I'm Donnie Rightside. He is Joe Ranieri, and my goodness, you saw unbelievable women's college basketball yesterday. No hitters in Major League Baseball. The NBA with under 10 games to go, and next week, not this weekend, next week, the Masters, live from Augusta. Joe Ranieri, I'm just waiting in the Northeast for the weather to change here. I know you have beautiful weather where you're at. Share some of that over with us. Come on.
Oh, no problem, Donnie. I'm packaging it up and FedExing it your way. And by the time it'll get there, it'll probably just be rain anyway. But it's good to see you here, man. I was excited about last night. I mean, usually it's the calm before the Final Four storm, but we had a whole lot of storms going on last night.
Wild stuff across the landscape. Let's get right into it. The 7 and 7, the hottest topics on the sports landscape, which did include yesterday, the Iowa Hawkeyes 94, LSU 87, an unbelievable basketball game. And quite frankly, it's rare that we see a rematch that lives up to the billing of the first game they played in the national championship. Last time it was Iowa returning the favor in a victory over LSU. You take a look at some of the scores here. Angel Reese, 17 points and 20 rebounds, but certainly the player of the game, Caitlin Clark, 13 of 29 from the floor. 41 points, 12 assists, and 7 rebounds. You got your money's worth last night, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely amazing. We were doing in-game live last night and watching her. And Donnie, this was a tie game at the break, by the way, 45 apiece. And I did not anticipate sweating out a 179.5 over last night. That wasn't on my list of things to do, but I did get caught up in it and hopped on Iowa and the over, and they both hit, Donnie.
Fantastic stuff. Look at that. Joe Ranieri cashing in tickets as we welcome in the radio audience. You're watching and listening live to the early line on a Tuesday morning edition right here on the Sports Grid Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. Donnie Rightside along with Joe Ranieri. The hottest topics on the sports landscape in women's basketball certainly took center stage yesterday. Another awesome game. UConn 80, USC 73. You take a look at the superstars in this game. Juju Watkins chipped in with 29. Paige Beckers, 28 points. UConn back to a Final Four, only playing 6 to 7 kids a game, and they wind up in the national championship picture once again. Back-to-back fantastic games last night. The superstars really came out, and UConn moves on.
Yeah, it's like hot tub time machine, Donnie. You're rolling back the clock, and you're like, wait a minute, UConn's in the Final Four. Wait, women? Yeah, they're back, people. Get used to it here. Gino and company are making a run here again. What a total surprise.
And then with total surprise yesterday that we had a pitcher pitch more than 6 innings with his first start of the season was Ronel Blanco. How about this of the Houston Astros? 10-0 victory, which is big for Houston because that gave them their first victory of the year, but a no-hitter, 9 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, 7 Ks, only 2 walks. He was absolutely phenomenal. My favorite part about this game, I actually thought Toronto would at least get 4 runs here. They didn't even get 4 hits. They got nothing. Impressive performance as Houston gets their first win of the season.
Just a great story. The earliest no-hitter in baseball history by date here. We've never had anything like that before. 4 games into the season here, Donnie. And, I mean, Toronto was swinging at everything. They certainly helped him a lot last night in the early going. But, hey, no-hitter's a no-hitter. And this was a guy that was on the fringe of the rotation, too, Donnie, in spring training. But I think he might have bought himself a couple of more starts here at least.
No doubt about it. Also, you take a look at that game as you were watching. Sometimes when you see like a no-hitter in progress, the pitcher is absolutely filthy. Like you can't touch his stuff. It just looked like fastballs in and out. They just couldn't make enough contact here to get any base knocks. But I tell you who was making contact. It was that Astros offense plating 10 runs with an easy victory yesterday. Talking about great pitching performances, let's take it over to Chicago. Now, maybe you're going to get a lot of great pitching performances this year against the Colorado Rockies as they were shut out by the Cubs 5-0. Imanaga, 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 9 Ks and no walks. He was absolutely superb in the cooler temperatures in the Windy City.
Yeah, Charlie Blackmon's single in the with 2 outs in the 6th was what broke it up. The kid was impressive, man. Make no mistake about it. What is but he's not young either. He's not like a 22, 20. I think he's like 30, 31 years old here making his debut. And my goodness, that stuff was filthy there, Donnie, watching that.
Cold temperatures, winds blowing in. That's when you want to pitch at Wrigley Field. Oh, I can't wait, Joe, till we get till June, July. 87 degrees, 17 mile an hour blowing out dead center field. Let's see if Imanaga's up to the hype then at that point. I'll tell you who's up to the hype last night. I thought the Pelicans were actually a decent side at -1 at home. Not the case. The Phoenix Suns come to town and take care of them. 124-111. This is a game with the standings that you want to watch in the Western Conference. Kevin Durant had 20 points. Bradley Beal had 13 points. But you know who the other big three was? Ready to rock and roll? It was Devin Booker, 8 of 16 from three-point range on his way to 52 points. This is what we want from the Suns here, Joe.
Well, yeah, I mean, can you get that in a best-of-7 series each and every night? Because I think, Donnie, that's what it's going to have to take with this team. But absolutely embarrassing, New Orleans, on your own home court here with playoff implications, and you got boat raced.
Crazy stuff yesterday. And this makes it so tough for me to look at the Suns. If they are going to play good basketball over these final 5, 6, 7 games, maybe they're worth a wager. But we've seen this story play out before. But that's a great win yesterday where the big three came to play, particularly with Devin Booker dropping over 50 points. Let's take a look at the Hawks and the Bulls. We might have a preview of a play-in tournament game coming up in just a few weeks alone. But the Hawks got the better of the Bulls on the road, 113-101. A balanced performance from the starting lineup here for the Hawks. A solid win for them as they improve to, I don't know if you can say improve to 35-40. The Bulls now 36-40. They're on a collision course for the playoffs to take on each other.
Oh, yeah. I mean, an absolute matchup that nobody wants to see. But yet here we are watching mediocre basketball teams battle it out for a spot in the playoffs. That is, isn't there a rule, Donnie? Like you have to be at least 500 to make the playoffs? Or no, not in the NBA. 35-40 will get you into the playoffs. Is that how it works now? Yeah, no thanks. We'll move on.
Yeah, typically in the Eastern Conference, it happens each and every year, those bottom teams. We'll see if they roll. There are some interesting bottom teams in there with the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. But if you're looking for jobs here, now's the time to secure one. How about this? Carson Wentz signs a 1-year deal. And it's with Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. So maybe get some pressure on Patrick Mahomes where Wentz might be the big dog on campus. Yeah, not so fast here. Wentz getting a paycheck there from Andy Reid. I don't know how long he's going to play in the NFL, Carson Wentz, but you do have job security if you're sitting behind Patrick Mahomes. Because number one, Mahomes is going to play. He's going to play well. You're going to hold a clipboard. You're going to get some money.
I can't think of a better gig in the NFL than to be the backup to guys like Patrick Mahomes or the backup to like Dan Marino over the years or the backup to Tom Brady. Like those have got to be the best sixth-man gigs in the world, man. You are just collecting checks, hanging out, being a cheerleader, which is exactly where Carson Wentz belongs. Right there on the sideline with a clipboard, my friend.
Resurrection of his career with the Rams. He looked incredible out there, Joe. What are you watching? He even beat the 49ers, who didn't have any starters in the ball game, but it's still a victory and found himself here with a new NFL team in Kansas City. The NFL never stops. We always try to keep you updated. And the draft, not too far away now, but we got some bigger topics to cover, which includes women's college basketball. The coach, James Young, going to join us next. So you keep that dial right here. Here at XM Channel 159. We'll be right back.
So there's it's not even like Colorado's going to sit on it, right? I mean, there's no way in the world we're not getting one more goal. We're going to cash this ticket. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
I love the bet. I love the price. I think that's, like I said, that's one we're going to have to, we're telling everybody right now. They're probably moving it in risk rooms everywhere right now based on us giving out this information.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Talk all you want about how fat he is. No one can guard him. No one can stop him. He's a violent offender. He does whatever he wants in the low block and at the 10. He just does whatever he wants and scores at will, ad nauseum.
They're the Mike Tyson of college basketball. At some point, they're going to throw a haymaker. And when it connects, Pharrell, you're not getting up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I think JMU is going to knock off Wisconsin. I think JMU, with the way that they can score the ball and spread you out, Wisconsin struggles to defend. They're in the bottom third in defensive efficiency.
Iowa State's not going to beat you with offense necessarily. They're just not. Illinois will beat you with offense. I like Illinois. I don't love them enough to beat UConn. You got to guard at some point. Give me Connecticut to make the Final Four.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the
All
rim.
I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Women's college basketball was absolutely on fire last night. A doubleheader that the nation, not just a few people, the nation was trying to get ready for yesterday. And we're going to recap that right now on the early line. The reason being is we got so many topics to get through, but we needed the man with a plan to come on here. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri. And, of course, it's the coach James Young, who was involved all night long watching these games, and they were sensational. Before we get into these games here, Coach, let me just ask you a quick question. Women's basketball has never been hotter than what it is right now. And finally, we made the moves to say, let's get these women on a stage by themselves outside of the NCAA men's tournament, and they were there to shine. It was the perfect storm on a Monday night, Coach.
It really was. And the NCAA, this is one of the one things they get right with the women's tournament, playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I think that was, good. And obviously, Donnie, they had a feeling this was coming. Like, there was a reason why this game was Monday, 7 p.m., and not one of the games on Sunday, even though they had two regions in Albany. They lined this up perfectly. They wanted to see this performance, and what a show it was for women's basketball. And to double back, how about this weekend? They're going to go Friday, Sunday. So they get the stage to themselves this coming weekend as well.
94-87 was the final score. The Iowa Hawkeyes won. It was a great game all the way up. But, Coach, you've been in this situation before, right? Big games, talking to your team here and getting ready for the opponent, because we heard multiple times, including Kim Mulkey, say, boy, it's a shame this isn't a Final Four game to be on an even bigger stage. How would you get your team ready for that environment on a neutral court, knowing the eyes of the nation were going to be on this game as if it was the college basketball version of the Super Bowl?
Well, I don't think they needed any motivation, any of the kids. You saw it. I mean, because usually, Donnie, when you have these big-time games, you have teams coming out flat, like nervous, the energy, tight. You didn't see this. I mean, 31-26 at the end of the first quarter, and one of the best first quarters I've seen. Ready, folks? Regardless of gender. I'm talking about shot making, shot creating, seeing the floor, doing different things. I thought that both of these coaches did a great job of having these teams ready for the moment. The stage wasn't too big. I mean, yeah, maybe it would have been better at the Final Four, maybe. But honestly, I'll take what I can get. I thought last night's game was absolutely fantastic.
And it was a tight game, Coach. It was tied at the break there with Caitlin Clark and Iowa, with LSU back and forth. The trash talking was fantastic, which was great. But did you anticipate that kind of pace? Because it seemed like a pretty big number, and it did seem like LSU ran out of gas in the end in that second half, and Caitlin Clark took over. But were you expecting that kind of pace up and down?
I actually was, Joe. I mean, if you really think about it, last year 102-85 was the final, right? So to me, I'm not shocked at the pace. I'm probably more shocked that they both got off to such a hot start. Like I thought it was going to be something where it was going to be slow moving early, pick the pace up. It was more like the other way. It got flying. I was like, after the first quarter, I'm like, oh my God, is this game going to go over 200 points? Like, is this possible? And then obviously the game slowed down, but to me, you got to look at Caitlin Clark. I mean, we've run out of. I mean, what do we want to call her? Female Steph Curry? Like I don't know what adverb describes her, because she seems to eclipse all of it. 41 points. I came on yesterday, with Ben and Donnie, and I said over 5.5 threes. Little did I know that I didn't have to sweat that bet, and it was done in the third quarter because of the shots. And I think the thing that is so impressive with her is, these aren't threes. Like, these are, remember, folks, there's the women's, men's, NBA. She's shooting them beyond the NBA line, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 feet. And she does it off of different ways. I just think the way she played last night, she is the biggest story in women's sports. And I don't even think it's close. And I'm going to say this, and maybe I'm really, this could be too much, but I'll say it anyway. I really think Caitlin Clark is the women's basketball what Tiger Woods was to golf. Like, she transcends it. Think about this. We're 3 grown men, and at 8:17 in the morning, we're talking women's college basketball. That has never happened. And that speaks to what she brings to the game, but also what LSU brought to the game as well.
I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I've been enjoying the past couple weeks run here. Usually you skip over a women's college basketball game on national TV. That wasn't the case. Anytime Iowa was on, or LSU for that matter, I was stopping and making sure I was going to watch that game. The one thing we know about Iowa, it's usually we think of ourselves watching that game going, it's probably a one-man band, but she had running mates once again last night. Martin had 21 points, Falter had 16 points. But also, Coach, talk to me about this. We all watched the first quarter, and it was so much fun. And you would say to yourself, wow, Iowa's up double digits here. What a great quarter. They didn't have the lead. It was 31-26 LSU after that smoking hot start from Iowa. Then the next 2 quarters, the second and third quarter, were lower scoring here, but you saw Iowa take advantage. 19-14 in the second quarter, and as Joe was pointing out, 24-13 in that next quarter. If you were the coach of LSU, Kim Mulkey, would you have changed anything on how you approach Caitlin Clark, or she's just that good and you just can't defend her anyway, no matter who is actually on her?
I felt really bad for last night? Haley Van Lith, because they put that kid on the island last night. And I can't understand for the life of me why not Flau'jae Johnson, who is longer, more athletic to start with. Secondly, there was no double teams. And maybe, let's be honest, Caitlin's got phenomenal vision, even though she had 5 turnovers. She throws some crazy passes, but her vision is sound. If you are Kim Mulkey, you cannot allow this kid to get off 23-point attempts. You can't. You got to try something. Triangle and 2, box and 1. And you can do triangle 2 and put 2 on Caitlin. You can double team the ball screens. You can hard hedge. They did what they did, and I question why not try something differently, especially early in the third quarter. When she hit those first 2 threes, I was like, oh, no, this is not good. This is not good for LSU. And they never adjusted. I also think on the other side, LSU missed a bunch of bunnies last night, like a bunch of close-range shots that I thought they were makeable. Angel Reese, who was phenomenal with the 20 rebounds, attacked the offensive boards, 10 offensive rebounds. Folks, when you get 23 O boards, you have to capitalize more than they did. And I thought they missed a lot of chippies last night. And like I said, back to Haley Van Lith. I mean, if folks don't understand, if you look at that line and say, this girl's terrible, you got to go back to when she played for Jeff Walton at Louisville. She was one of the best players in the country. I don't know if she went ring chasing or what, but that girl was so underutilized by Kim Mulkey. And then on the other side, she became the scapegoat for how bad their defense was.
Coach, you missed one Final Four last year, and everyone sticks a fork in you. I guess I can say they're back. Are they back, UConn?
Hey, I loved UConn last night. And you know what, folks? As great as we talk about the play of Caitlin Clark, but is the better all-around player, folks, all around, not explosive offensively, could be Paige Beckers and how she played 28-10, 6-3-2, and put Juju Watkins in jail in the fourth quarter where Juju could not get going. What a performance by both of them. You know what? The star of today versus the star of tomorrow, even though you got people like after Caitlin Clark leaving, I think the women's game is set up for a long, long time.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at, too, because you saw last night Juju Watkins, and you realized how young she is and was crying at the press conference. Like, you know what? She at least has 3 more years here to go out and dominate, and who knows if she's going to average 25 to 30 points a game throughout her career. Let's pick back up on UConn and USC because it was an awesome game. Women's college basketball is the main story right here on the SportsGrid Network.
So there's like, it's not even like Colorado's going to sit on it, right? I mean, there's no way in the world we're not getting one more goal. We're going to cash this ticket. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
I love the bet. I love the price. I think that's, like I said, that's one we're going to have to, we're telling everybody right now. They're probably moving it in risk rooms everywhere right now based on us giving out this information.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Talk all you want about how fat he is. No one can guard him. No one can stop him. He's a violent offender. He does whatever he wants in the low block and at the 10. He just does whatever he wants and scores at will, ad nauseum.
They're the Mike Tyson of college basketball. At some point, they're going to throw a haymaker. And when it connects, Pharrell, you're not getting up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I think JMU is going to knock off Wisconsin. I think JMU, with the way that they can score the ball and spread you out, Wisconsin struggles to defend. They're in the bottom third in defensive efficiency.
Iowa State's not going to beat you with offense necessarily. They're just not. Illinois will beat you with offense. I like Illinois. I don't love them enough to beat UConn. You got to guard at some point. Give me Connecticut to make the Final Four.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the rim.
All I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live, all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Taking out to Portland, Oregon yesterday, the UConn Huskies 80, the USC Trojans 73. An amazing game all the way through. Superstars provided everything we needed, which include Paige Beckers and also Juju Watkins lighting it up. Beckers 28-10. You take a look at Juju Watkins 29-10 last night. But UConn, as a 3.5-point favorite, was able to edge the Trojans here as it worked out. Talking about this game much more this morning, myself, Donnie Rightside, along with Joe Ranieri and the coach, James Young. From this game, now we didn't have any theories of, hey, man, these teams were struggling to shoot because the three-point line was up to 9 inches off on one side. That was rectified. UConn won and moved forward. And this is one of those years where typically we always expect, Coach, UConn to be in the Final Four. But this year, we sort of wrote them off, and here they are in the Final Four.
Y'all wrote them off. I never did.
You wrote them off, Coach. Yes, you did.
I know you're going to be Donnie Rightside throwing daggers at me this early. What's wrong with you, Donald? Listen, I thought there was a chance. And listen, Donnie is right in regards to they were being overlooked. Let's be honest. At 33-5, anytime they stepped up in a big spot out of conference, they got rolled. They got absolutely rolled. They got rolled by South Carolina. They went down to the Cayman Islands and they lost 2 out of 3. So they, Notre Dame came into their building and Hannah Hidalgo put on a show and they lost by 15 in their own building, which never happened to Gino. But to me, I was waiting for Paige to be Paige. And if you folks don't remember, this kid's basically missed the last 2 years of basketball. So go back to her freshman year, folks. Go back to her freshman year and watch. When she, as a freshman, took them all the way to the championship game, I think losing to Stanford, and she was the best player on the floor. This kid is finally healthy. And the performance that she did last night was absolutely fantastic. With her stat line, we already went over it, right? 28 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, only 2 turnovers. It's a 5-to-1 assist turnover ratio. And remember, folks, she isn't the point guard. She's a 2-guard. Yola's a 2-guard. But to me, her defense, and I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, a high major college assistant, and I asked her, I said, what is going to be the difference in the game? She said, they have to establish Aaliyah Edwards. And they absolutely did. Aaliyah was fantastic with 24 and 6, 10 for 14 from the foul line. Really gave UConn that 1-2 punch. Because, let's be honest, 2 of them, they scored 54 out of 80. So they really were the only 2 that were punching at all. But what a performance by UConn. But Lindsey Gottlieb has done a great job at USC. This has been obviously a storied program for a long time. Haven't made the Final Four since, I think, the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. If you look at the lineage, Cheryl Miller, Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson, Lisa Leslie, they've had stars. And they may have, out of all of them, maybe besides Cheryl Miller, the best player to ever come out of there in Juju Watkins, and she's only a freshman.
23rd Final Four in program history for UConn, Coach. 15 of the last 16 years they've been here, and this could be their toughest opponent in a long, long time here. So looking ahead, what do we think we're going to get in Cleveland here coming up this weekend?
I'll tell you what, Gino's going to not play no drop coverage on Caitlin Clark. I'll tell you that much. He'll have something up his sleeve, and it'll be a really intriguing matchup because you look at, offensively, right? You have the number 1 team in points per possession, according to Synergy, versus the number 4 team, right? You have a team in Iowa that plays with a lot of pace. You have the number 1 team in effective field goal shooting percentage in Iowa versus the 8th team in Connecticut. You have 2 teams that are tied for 30th in turnover percentage. What does that mean? They value possessions. And the number 1 team in Iowa in scoring percentage at 46.6% versus the number 7 team in scoring at 45.1%. So, folks, where is this game going to be won? on the defensive end of the floor. And that's where I get a little bit concerned with Iowa. UConn, 12th in the nation in points per possession defense versus 251st in Iowa. You look at effective field goal shooting percentage defense, 30th in UConn, 198th in Iowa. That is going to be the telltale sign. I think Gino will try and find ways to make it difficult for Caitlin to score. I need to see what Iowa's going to do on the other side because they do give up points and they give up rebounds. And Aaliyah Edwards is a better finisher around the rim with O boards than someone like Angel Reese. It will be interesting to watch come Friday night.
We got a whole week to prep for the Final Four here. It's going to be great to watch it play out, and also the Final Four beginning on Friday. Fantastic stuff. Once again, women's basketball will take center stage. We'll be watching and enjoying it nonetheless. If you're enjoying the NBA right now, you're questioning, are the Phoenix Suns as good as they were advertised to be to start the season? They now sit 44-31 here, Coach, after a 124-111 victory over the New Orleans Pelicans. When we talk about the big three, Kevin Durant, 20 points, Bradley Beal, 13 points, but Devin Booker, 52 points, was lights out from three-point range right from the jump as Phoenix scored 46 points in the first quarter and cruised to a victory. Coach, they came in as a slight underdog. This game goes over, and they gain a game in the standings against the Pelicans.
And it was really a crucial matchup. A Phoenix Suns team, guys, that has the toughest schedule by far in the NBA. Folks, they have 7 games left. The strength of schedule percentage of their opponents is 633. Like, that's absurd. 2 against Minnesota, 2 against the Clippers, 1 against Cleveland, 1 more against the Pelicans, and 1 against the Kings. And they needed this game badly as they now sit 1 game behind the Pelicans. So what do you do when that happens? You got to have your stars show up. And boy, did Devin Booker show up and show out to the point where Kevin Durant was like, you take it. I'll be baby in the corner. You take care of the whole heavy lifting. When you need me, I got you. But you go ahead and you take care of this himself. And what a performance. 8 of 16 from 3. And a matchup of where you can see how explosive Phoenix can be offensively. What a job by them. And they are going to try, like, you know what, Donnie, to get to that 6 seed.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a chance to see a future playing game here that nobody asked for, Coach. Atlanta and Chicago last night. 113-101. Chicago the night before. Great game, great win against Minnesota. They come home, and what happens? They lose to the Atlanta Hawks here. My goodness. What do we do with these two teams here, Coach?
I don't know. Let them play and the loser goes
Light them
home.
on fire.
I mean that's what we're going to do. We're basically going to let them play, the 9-10 game. One of you suckers goes home, and the other one of you goes home after that. Listen, you got to talk about Atlanta, and let's be honest. DeJounte Murray, who was off a little bit, has been absolutely fantastic since Trae Young's been down. I wonder if that means maybe Trae gets moved in the offseason because I think at some point they have to split them up. But those teams are tied with 40 losses. This is critical, folks. This is very critical because of the fact of the 9-10 game. You get home court for that 1 game. And let's be honest, I don't even know if there's something called home court in Atlanta. I'm a Knicks fan. You go down to Atlanta for a Knicks game, and there's about 95% Knicks fans. I don't even know if they have 5,000 Hawks fans, but that's okay. What a performance by them. They're playing better basketball, winners of 6 out of their last 10 games. Either way, guys, this is 9-10. We'll see this in a couple of weeks. One goes home. One of them goes out against the loser of probably Miami or Philadelphia, unless one of them jumps over Indiana, who's in that 6th spot right now.
Every win counts, Coach, at this time of the year, which includes the Orlando Magic picking up a 1-point victory over the Portland Trailblazers. Now, if you saw the lines closing time last night, 17.5-point favorite for Orlando. Now, obviously, they don't cover that, but they do win this basketball game. And also, 207 points easily stays under the total. But Orlando now, in that 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, every win, as I said, matters here, looking to solidify their place so they can avoid that play-in series here. It's not a nice victory, but in a way, it is. You don't need style points right now, Coach. You just need victories for Orlando, even if you probably thought it was going to be easier.
Yeah, you're right. And the Orlando team that for a long time, guys, coming out of the All-Star break, had the easiest schedule in the NBA. Now they have the 11th toughest down the stretch. So they have some interesting matchups, most notably 2 against the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that's right now sitting in second place. I do believe, I think, 2 games ahead of the Knicks and Cleveland. So, what a story in Orlando. And what they've done, folks, is they've really turned it up defensively. Shout out to Jamal Mosley, who's done a great job in getting this team to really buy in to the defensive philosophy and principles. That's something that you will not see out of young teams, but they'll take a win any chance they get. As for Portland, this is the team that's going absolutely nowhere. I mean, you got 20 and 12 out of DeAndre Ayton. I guess he decided he wanted to show up and play last night because you never know what you're going to get out of him. Either that or an 8-7 the next night. So a good win for them, but their schedule tightens up. That 2, 3, 4, 5 race is interesting. And then you have like the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 race is also interesting as well.
2 other games just to hit quickly here, Coach. The Celtics and the Hornets. The Celtics easily winning by 14 points, but not covering because they were on the road as 17-point favorites against the Hornets. And the Pacers got out the pace card last night, 133-111 over the Nets last night.
Well, for Indiana, I thought this was an easy play to take them. Brooklyn Nets team that looked terrible at home, giving up 40 points to LeBron James. That's a fly on the road to go play the team that's one of the most highest-paced teams in the NBA. Indiana, another team trying to set out a playing tournament. It's going to be fun the last couple of weeks figuring out who gets those top 6 seeds because all those teams are going for it in the East and West.
We are right around the corner from the NBA playoffs, and as Coach said, jockeying for position here. We'll see what teams wind up in the top 6 or have to play their way into the playoffs themselves. But there's 2 teams in the Eastern Conference we have to watch out for. The return of the Mac in Philadelphia. Could it be? Let's talk about it next right here on The Early Line.
So there's it's not even like Colorado's going to sit on it, right? I mean, there's no way in the world we're not getting one more goal. We're going to cash this ticket. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
I love the bet. I love the price. I think that's, like I said, that's one we're going to have to, we're telling everybody right now. They're probably moving it in risk rooms everywhere right now based on us giving out this information.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Talk all you want about how fat he is. No one can guard him. No one can stop him. He's a violent offender. He does whatever he wants in the low block and at the 10. He just does whatever he wants and scores at will, ad nauseum.
They're the Mike Tyson of college basketball. At some point, they're going to throw a haymaker. And when it connects, Pharrell, you're not getting up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I think JMU is going to knock off Wisconsin. I think JMU, with the way that they can score the ball and spread you out, Wisconsin struggles to defend. They're in the bottom third in defensive efficiency.
Iowa State's not going to beat you with offense necessarily. They're just not. Illinois will beat you with offense. I like Illinois. I don't love them enough to beat UConn. You got to guard at some point. Give me Connecticut to make the Final Four.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats and fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the rim.
All I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live, all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart team.
Winning back-to-back road games
I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right back at it, talking some basketball. Moving on from, look, we had so much fun talking about the women's game this morning and can't wait for Friday night's final 4 games to begin. And then away we go with the national championship picture. But as we pointed out, the NBA is coming down the stretch here. Only a few games left in the season, jockeying for position, and big names look like they're coming back. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri, along with the coach, James Young. Coach, here we go. Shams Charania tweeted out yesterday, Joel Embiid is nearing a comeback as soon as tonight's game against the OKC Thunder. And it says the reigning MVP has positively completed multiple 5-on-5 scrimmage sessions in recent days. Let's start here. Joel Embiid coming back. What do we expect out of here over the next couple games? Full gas, rustiness, or the Sixers could be a problem here?
Yes. To all that.
All of them. Yeah.
I think you can get some rustiness, folks. Listen, you can do scrimmaging all you want. But playing 5-on-5 in a game situation is something that's completely different. So, getting Joel Embiid is obviously going to be really big for the Philadelphia 76ers team. It's Philadelphia 76ers team that was kind of, let's be honest, guys, it's stumbling their way through. And now you're looking at this spot where they're at the 8th seed. So I think it's really big news for JoJo. For them to have him come out against Oklahoma City, it's pretty good because Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, not overly physical. So he should be able to get going right away. I wouldn't be jumping into like any kind of crazy like 30-plus points. I wouldn't touch any of that stuff early on. I need to see him for a game or two. Maybe look at like rebounds plus assists. Still gets rebounds, maybe dimes people up, slowly integrates himself back into the offense. But what a story for Philadelphia getting Joel Embiid back. And that's why you're seeing the odds in the Eastern Conference shifting quickly. And the better he looks, the quicker they're going to shift, especially if they can find their way out of that 8 spot somewhere in the top 6.
So we got 2 weeks left, in the regular season, right? So he can try to shake the rust off there, Coach. But if they're going to be in the play-in game anyway, in all likelihood here, and then they're going to have to come out and play who? The Celtics or the Bucks? I mean, are we really thinking this is a team that can, even with Embiid on the floor, they're no doubt better, but are we really convinced they're up there with the Celtics or the Bucks in the Eastern Conference?
I don't think they're up there with the Celtics per se, with Joel just getting back. But sign me up for Bucks Sixers right now. I mean, the cinema, the fact of Nick Nurse, going against Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers returning. Pat Beverly going to getting traded and talking all his mess because, Pat Bev talks trash about every team he gets traded from, even though he's been playing for, I don't know, half the league already. So to me, it'll be very interesting this. But here's the thing. If you give me 85% of Joel Embiid in an NBA series with Nick Nurse over against the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm taking the Sixers.
Yeah.
Every time. And here's the thing, guys. If Joel looks like Joel and they're the 7 seed and they do play Milwaukee, what do we honestly think that series is going to be? The Milwaukee's not going to be like a minus 200 favorite, minus 250. That thing will probably be like minus 130, minus 140. They'll keep that thing close because Joel Embiid can go win you a series, and so can someone like Nick Nurse, who has won an NBA championship, and I do regard him as one of the 5 best coaches in the sport. It's really interesting to see what happens. We have to monitor Joel Embiid closely, but I'll tell you what, it's happened before through these teams that are in the NBA in the East, seeds 2 through 4. Are you watching what's going on too? Because that may affect who they play in the first round as well. Not just Milwaukee. You're talking about Cleveland. You're talking about the Knicks. You're talking about Orlando. They're not that far off from Milwaukee. Can one of them make a jump? And honestly, if Joel Embiid's a 7th seed, do you want to make that jump?
Should be fun to watch it play out here. Talking to Coach James Young here about some NBA analysis down the stretch with some injured players. Let me just ask you this follow-up on Joel Embiid. We have the graphic up there with Joel Embiid this season, 26-8. Without Joel Embiid, 14-27. This question I want to ask you is pertain to, let's just say we do get a healthy Joel Embiid back, and he's near the MVP level that we saw him earlier in the season when he was neck and neck with Jokic, 1A and 1B towards the MVP. Talk to us about the Sixers players who now got to play more time, take more shots here, and try to control the offense, where typically if Embiid was around, that's 25 to 30 shots, it feels like, every single game. Are the Sixers a better team for Joel Embiid being down at this point and possibly being healthy with extra players getting extra playing time here, Coach?
Well, it all depends, because they have to get the flow going offensively, right? I think one thing you have to look at is you got to look at, Kyle Lowry is new. Like he hasn't played with JoJo. So he's got to get that pick and roll game going with JoJo. So they need some time with that. What do you do? Do you bring Kelly Oubre off the bench? Now, if you look at it now, Kelly Oubre, Buddy Hield off the bench, starting, who starts, who sits. So they got some things to figure out there in Philadelphia. But I do think this, what it allows Nick Nurse to do is, with now Oubre, who's been fantastic, with Buddy Hield in the fold, with Maxey, they can go and let JoJo sit down on the bench a little bit, and then they got other guys that can run their offense through, and it not just be Tyrese Maxey. I think that's the important thing. I'm going to say this, guys, and maybe if they are on the other side of the bracket, right, they can go all the way to Eastern Conference Finals. And with Joel Embiid healthy and this team playing their best basketball, I'm a Knicks fan. I'm going to be honest with you. They have the best chance to come out of the East besides Boston because of Embiid and the problems that he possesses. You're going to see these odds. They were at 20-1. They're at 12-1, tied with Cleveland Knicks. If Joel looks like anything like Joel, watch them pass the Knicks and the Cavs probably in about 2 days.
I can't believe you're throwing the Knicks under the bus here. I thought you for sure would have told me the Knicks are coming out of the East. Like, what is going on here with you? Embiid comes back and that's it? It's all Sixers now?
Well, it's not just that. It's the fact that, we don't know what's going to happen with OG Anunoby and Julius Randle. And for me, as much as I love Randle, it's been the play of OG Anunoby that when he's on the floor with the Knicks, they are a completely different team. The guy came back for like 2 games, and he went back. And now they're trying to manage it. I don't, as much as I love the Knicks, and I want to say that, yes, they can make a run to the finals, they can make a run to the finals if everyone is healthy. We cannot say that. And at some point, if you look at New York, I mean, how much longer are they going to be able to ride Jalen Brunson like this? And I love Jalen Brunson. I think he's been fantastic. I think he's getting so disrespected when it comes to talking about MVP talk, because you take Jalen Brunson off the Knicks, they're not even in the play-in. Like, at least Philadelphia is in the play-in without JoJo. If Jalen Brunson was not on the Knicks, they would be a lottery team, and it's not even close. Just look at them before he got there. So he's really changed the game. The Knicks have been a great story, 44 wins. They have a difficult schedule down the stretch, 5th hardest schedule. They're at Miami tonight. Listen, if they get everybody back, they can come out of the East. I just don't see it happening, guys. I think that they're going to probably win a round, and whoever they get in the second round, Tips will battle, probably lose in about 6 games.
For weeks, Coach, I've been taking a look at the Eastern Conference myself and saying, like, sure, we understand it's Boston and the number 2 overall team is going to be Milwaukee. But the 2 teams I was interested in taking flyers on from an odds perspective were the New York Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers. Under the guise of they're playing bad right now, that number is dropping. But we know if Joel Embiid comes back and is healthy, the Sixers aren't a true 8th seed. They're a number 3 seed here in the East, which is where they probably would wind up. But the New York Knicks, I look at them and I'm with you, Coach. If Jalen Brunson, I'm amazed they were winning any basketball games with the starting starting lineups that they're rolling out there where Dante DiVincenzo is your main option and say, okay, shoot 15 to 20 3-point shots every night. Let's see where it gets us. Love Josh Hart, glue guy out there, but Jalen Brunson really holding it down. And all throughout the weeks, every day we were handicapping games, Coach, in the NBA. And I'm going like, look at the anticipated starting lineup. Like, when is Anunoby coming back here? When is Julius Randle coming back? And then we hear Josh Hart post game over the weekend go, yeah, I'd be surprised if any of them come back. These were 2 injuries, Coach. I looked at about a month and a half ago and said, okay, they'll be down for a little bit, though we'll be back. But now the cryptic, stories coming out is we're not anticipating both. Maybe both of them sit out. Maybe we get one back here. I can't take the Knicks, even a flyer on them, Coach, at this point until I know exactly if both of those 2 starters have the probability of coming back in the playoffs.
And I agree with you, and I think that's why their number is at 12-1. When New York was playing their best basketball with OG and with Randall, they were the most dangerous and they were the hottest team in the NBA. Because when especially with OG, what OG does, guys, is he can guard your best player 1 through 4, right? So now you can hide guys defensively, right? And then obviously you look at the fact of OG Anunoby being a really good corner catching 3 guy. Corner 3, the most important shot, I would say, in basketball because of the fact it's the shortest distance and then it spaces the floor. He spaces the floor and he gives Randall and Brunson lanes to the basket. So it's critical that he comes back. Listen, DiVincenzo's been great. He fits Brunson better than RJ Barrett. He fits him better than Quickly. Why? Catch and shoot guy. Brunson can dominate the ball and get guys involved in the offense. That's why you saw Brunson's assist numbers keep creeping up when everybody's healthy. But I can't back a team that's not healthy, guys. I can't live in what ifs. I need to see these guys back on the floor. If I see them back on the floor, I'll take a flyer on them. But, with the shoulder with Randall, he hasn't even played any kind of contact in practice. That's big. That's a guy like Julius Randle who likes to bang and hit people. So to me, until I get a situation where I get to see these guys live, I can't take them. But I will say, if they come back and they get away from Boston, that 12-1 number will move probably closer to 8-1 just because they're on the other side of the bracket and they're dangerous.
So you're saying there's a chance, Coach, is what I'm hearing here, because that was a long way to go around. You're saying there's a chance, because I really want to take this 12-13-1, and you're not making me feel good about it, because I'm with you. I think if they come back here, Coach, and there's enough time here. There's 2 weeks left in the regular season. If they come back healthy, I'm with you. This is a different Knick team, and you're right. This number ain't going to be 12-13-1 here, Coach, if things start coming together.
Well, I think the interesting thing is that the game against Miami tonight is going to be critical for the Knicks, right? If they win, they keep pace with Cleveland with the same exact record with 7 games to play. Cleveland's got a far easier, they still have to play some really easy opponents. So it's a critical game tonight for New York versus Miami. But I will say this: if there is word that they are playing or they're back, before they play, run to the window and take them. Because I don't think they'll move the market that much. It's just a Joel Embiid that moves it like that. They have to get on the floor first. If word comes out they're practicing and they're about to come back, jump on the next end before the number moves.
Eastern Conference winners here, the favorites, the Boston Celtics at a -140 price, followed by the Bucks at a +320. Then we're lumped in 12-1 and 12-1 for the Cavs and Knicks. Then the Philadelphia 76ers, followed up by the Miami Heat. And down the stretch we come. Thank you, Coach James Young, for joining us this morning on the early line, bringing that knowledge. DJ Burke, up next.
So there's it's not even like Colorado's going to sit on it, right? I mean, there's no way in the world we're not getting one more goal. We're going to cash this ticket. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
I love the bet. I love the price. I think that's, like I said, that's one we're going to have to, we're telling everybody right now. They're probably moving it in risk rooms everywhere right now based on us giving out this information.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Talk all you want about how fat he is. No one can guard him. No one can stop him. He's a violent offender. He does whatever he wants in the low block and at the 10. He just does whatever he wants and scores at will, ad nauseum.
They're the Mike Tyson of college basketball. At some point, they're going to throw a haymaker. And when it connects, Pharrell, you're not getting up.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I think JMU is going to knock off Wisconsin. I think JMU, with the way that they can score the ball and spread you out, Wisconsin struggles to defend. They're in the bottom third in defensive efficiency.
Iowa State's not going to beat you with offense necessarily. They're just not. Illinois will beat you with offense. I like Illinois. I don't love them enough to beat UConn. You got to guard at some point. Give me Connecticut to make the Final Four.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the
All
rim.
I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart Team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Quick little segment before we hit hour number 2 right here on the early line. Donnie Wright side along with Joe Ranieri had a lot of fun talking to the coach about some NBA action, college basketball, the women's side, getting ready for this weekend's Final Four. But we got some other news here. We're talking about a Final Four team in NC State in men's basketball, and it's DJ Burns, the big man. Now, typically you'd say, let's enjoy the Final Four. He's been incredible, so much fun to watch. What a great personality. But now we're looking beyond the scope of the Final Four, Joe, which means some NFL scouts are texting around saying, you know what? We might have some interest in the big man DJ Burns as an NFL offensive tackle prospect. Listed at 6'9", but say closer to 6'7". He's got great footwork here. Can he make a splash in the NFL, Joe Ranieri?
Well, yeah, I mean, he certainly has the physical tools to be able to do it. Obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be even entertaining the idea. He'd be at the new UFL. Maybe. But the question to me, Donnie, is do we have faith that NBA could come calling? Are we projecting him to be an NBA player? Because if I'm him and I want to be a professional athlete, I want an NBA paycheck. I don't necessarily want to go anywhere near the NFL if I'm him.
I don't know, though. Like, let's just say he can play in the NBA. I don't know if his contract status in the NBA could be able to match what an offensive tackle makes. And it's a leap. You just can't take people out of different sports like, yeah, he's going to be an elite offensive lineman. Who knows if he can even play in the NFL? But guys like Jordan Mailata coming over from Australia, signing multiple monster contracts to play tackle in the NFL. So if you're in the NBA on a two-way contract at $550,000 a season, let's just say, or an NFL contract 3 or 4 years at $20 or $30 million, it should be interesting to watch you play. Now, we've seen players make the crossover from playing college basketball into the pros, particularly. It's that tight end position. The Tony Gonzalez's, the Gates of the world. They've done very well for themselves, but I'm interested in seeing how this might actually match up because it's very intriguing, but I do want to enjoy him this weekend. The two DJs on NC State trying to cut down the nets. We'll see if they get that done. Hour number 2 coming your way. Let's talk some Major League Baseball, people.